Alright, we know budget speech this year was long and boring, but don't worry. We at Smart Course have prepared a summary that covers every important point for you. So let's get started. Okay, so the budget speech started with the achievements of this government. They said that they have achieved since 2014 the average growth rate of 7.4% with an average inflation of 4.5%. Currently, the situation is completely opposite. It is about 4.5% of growth and 7.4% of inflation. But for the data given in budget, we need to. So, this is also an important fact that 271 million people were brought out of the poverty from the time period of 2006 to 2016. We are now the fifth largest economy. I mean, there was a recent World Bank report on it. India's FDI growth elevated to USD $284 billion during the same period. You will find most of the data compared to 2014 only because that is when this government came into power. And the central government debt to GDP got reduced to 48.7%. This budget was basically divided into three broad themes, which is aspirational India, economic development, and caring society. In Aspiration India, we have things like agriculture, wellness, sanitation, education, and skills. And in economic development, we have industry, commerce, infrastructure, economy. In caring society, we have women, child, and social welfare, culture and tourism, environment, and climate change. So these are the broad things. We'll discuss it. First, let's start with aspirational India. So the total budget allocation for agriculture is 2.83 lakh crore. I mean, you don't have to remember every budget allocation, but the things which are broadly mentioned in the speech must be given some attention. In the budget speech, Nirmala Sitharaman showed 16 action points for improving the agriculture. We'll discuss each of them one by one. The first one is implementation of model laws already issued by central government. See, you should be knowing about land leasing laws, the Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Promotion and Facilitation Act, and Agriculture Produce and Livestock Contract Farming Act. So basically, these are the acts that the central government has issued to improve agriculture. But agriculture being a state subject, these laws are not effectively implemented at the state level. So, in order to push states to implement these laws, central government is going to incentivize them so that they will implement these laws. These will in turn help in getting a increasing the income of farmers and reach the goal of doubling the farmers income by the government. Second is comprehensive measures for 100 water stressed districts. See, water is one of the most important component for farming, and if we have lack of water, it will be a huge distress for farmers. So, to prevent this problem, the government is ensuring some measures for replenishing the water stressed districts. Then there is PM-KUSUM scheme. See, a lot of this power generation for irrigation in the farms is done by diesel generation sets. So this needs to be replaced because one, they consume diesel, second is that is becoming expensive for the farmers. So the government has introduced this PM Kusum scheme where the farmers will be provided standalone solar pumps and solarized grid connected pump sets. So basically these farmers will be given pump sets which operate on solar power, and the excess solar power that these farmers will generate, they can sell it to the grid and earn the income from it. The fourth is government to encourage balanced use of all kind of fertilizers. These farmers are using excessive fertilizers which are currently helping in their crops but are effectively reducing the fertility of their soil. So that needs to be controlled and government is encouraging this. There is a scheme related to it. I hope you know it. Soil health, I'm sorry for my handwriting. Soil health card. So You should know about that. And the next one is NABARD to geotag map and warehouses. See, one problem is that we have very limited amount of warehouses, and the second problem is we don't even know where they are. So NABARD is going to geotag and map these warehouses so we can effectively use them. The sixth point is village storage scheme is proposed to be run by self-help groups. So we know that we have a lot of problem of storage, these storage of our produce, and due to lack of the storage, a lot of produce is wasted. So in order to tackle this problem and also generate revenue for the women self-help groups, the government has brought this village storage scheme. Okay, so the seventh point is the setting up of Kisan Rail through PPP arrangements. See, another problem in agriculture is that the produce is not efficiently transported from one part of the country to other. So, in order to solve this problem, the government has proposed to set up Kisan Rail through PPP arrangements where this produce would be transported to the different parts of country through refrigerated coaches, which will be specially developed to transfer these agriculture produce. On the similar lines, we have this Krishi Udan scheme in which the agriculture produce will be transferred from one place in the country to other through air routes. Ninth is adopting a cluster based focus on one product, one district. So the government is planning to allot one product to one district in which they will specialize and develop the whole ecosystem around it. So this will help us develop specialization of our efforts towards producing one single product in one district. So the 10th one is integrated farming systems in rain-fed areas shall be expanded. See, you need to know the concept of integrated farming. It is about you effectively using all the resources and produce by the agriculture and farming, like let's say the residue of crops can be used as a fodder for many animals that these farmers can keep to generate surplus income. So these kind of measures should be promoted. And there is also concept of Javik Kheti. The online national organic product markets will also be strengthened under this point. So this is also important. The 11th one is negotiable warehouse receipts will be integrated with ENAM. See, I hope you know about the negotiable warehousing receipt. Yeah, this is the system where a farmer can submit or store his produce in a warehouse, and in turn he will get a receipt. Now this receipt can be used on ENAM portal in order to trade his produce and effectively sell his produce to in different parts of the country. 12th one is agriculture credit target of 15 lakh crore. We know that NABARD is a refinancing agency and it refinances projects that are related to agriculture and rural development. Through many initiatives, the central government will help to inject 15 lakh crore as credit in agriculture to various institutions in order to increase the supply of money to these important sectors. 13th point is to eliminate the foot and mouth disease, brucellosis, and okay, this is a weird name. Pest ruminants PPR is easy. PPR in sheep and goat by 2025. So these are the diseases that are spreading in cattle, and because of it, these cattle are not able to give the milk, and in some cases, their effective milk bearing capacity is reduced. So this needs to be taken care of, and the government has promised that it will through many measures be able to remove this from the cattle by 2025. So the 14th point is blue economy. As the name suggests, it is related to marine fishery resources. So government plans to put in place a framework for development, management and conservation of marine fishery resources. 15th point is also similar. Fish production to 200 lakh tons by 2023. Keep in mind these deadlines are very important. So they are trying to involve youth in fishery extension. We need to create jobs. So why not explore the blue economy? The central government has proposed 3,477 Sagar Mitras and 500 fish farmer producer organizations through which they will not only provide employment to these youth but also try to streamline the structure of this blue economy. Another target for this fishery is raise fishery exports to 1 lakh crore by 2024-25, and we know this is the deadline of the $5 trillion economy also. 54 lakh self-help group have been mobilized under DeenDayal Antyodaya Yojana for alleviation of poverty. Self-help groups play a big role in rural development and also upliftment of the poor. So, through the DeenDayal Antyodaya Yojana, 58 self-help groups have been empowered, and these self-help groups are further contributing to the growth of agriculture and economy of India. And the next one in Aspirational India is wellness, water and sanitation. In this, we have 69,000 crore allocated for overall healthcare sector. This includes the 6,400 crores of PMJAY, which is Jan Aushadhi Yojana. Jan Aushadhi Kendra scheme will offer 2,000 medicines and 300 surgicals in all districts by 2024. The target to end TB is by 2025 with the campaign of TB Harega, Desh Jeetega. 3.6 lakh crore total and 11,500 crore this year for Jal Jeevan mission has been allocated to provide tap water to every district and every household. The next one is education and skills. 99,300 crore for education sector for this year's budget and about 3,000 crore for skill development is allocated. Degree level online education by top 100 institutions as per NIRF has also been introduced so as to provide the education to maximum students possible. The fresh engineers will be provided the opportunity to work for 1 year as an intern in urban local bodies where they can achieve the required experience they need just after graduation and which they can implement in private sector later on. INSAT Study in India program will be started. This INSAT will be a competitive exam through which students from foreign countries will be able to get the scholarship in the esteemed Indian colleges. Now this will be implemented under the Study in India program. ECB and FDI will also be enabled in education sector. ECB stands for external commercial borrowings and FDI stands for foreign direct investments. So we are trying to leverage the foreign investments in education sector because this is going to be the most important and crucial part for the development of our country because we have the most young generation with the we have the most young population coming, and it becomes very important for our country to give the complete give a lot of stress in education and skilling. The next theme is economic development. Under this, we start with industry, commerce and investment, where the first scheme is talked about Nirvik. Nirvik is Niryat Rin Vikas Yojana. Through this scheme, about 90% of the total order will be covered under the insurance, and it will help the small exporters and also simplify the claim settlements. Earlier, about 75% was insured under the previous schemes. Through this, investors will be able to more effectively export and the banks will be able to give better credit to these exporters. Another initiative is National Technical Textile Mission, which is proposed with a 4-year implementation period and estimated outlay of 1480 crores. Now, what are technical textiles? Let's say a doctor uses antibiotic fabric. There is a fabric for that is used in conveyor belt. So see, these are the textiles used for specific purpose, and these are called technical textiles. Now these technical textiles provide a good opportunity for our industry to develop, and we have the potential to reach to take a good share of this market. Next is reversion of duties and taxes on exported product, RODTEP. The scheme is, this is going to replace the MEIS, which was earlier providing benefits to exporters. Now this scheme will be WTO compliant and will also be beneficial for exporters, as the duties and taxes that these exporters are paying will be reversed through this scheme. Next is the vision of zero defect and zero effect manufacturing, and all the ministries are instructed to develop schemes and efforts so as our industries move to zero defect and zero effect manufacturing. On the infrastructure part, 8,000 crore will be provided for a period of 5 years for national mission on quantum technologies and applications. BharatNet program is going to link 1,000 gram panchayats and 2,200 crores for renewable energy. Another important announcement in infrastructure was the 103 lakh crore worth of national infrastructure pipeline, under which projects will be lined up over the period of 5 years, and this will provide the impetus to the required infrastructure in the country. This is mentioned here. Also, 100 new airports will be developed by 2024 under the UDAN scheme. It is an old scheme. Now 100 new airports will be added under this scheme so as to improve the domestic air connectivity in the country. Delhi Mumbai Expressway by 2023. This is going to be developed. Solar capacity along rail tracks. This is a very big announcement. The railway owned land along the railway tracks will be leveraged to install the solar panels. Solar power will be harvested, and this electricity will be produced through land owned by railways. 150 new trains will be started in public private partnership mode. So 148-kilometer Bengaluru Suburban Transport Project worth 18,600 crore will be started. If you have ever been to Bengaluru, you know that the local transportation is not very good. So this was a very well required project. Next is corporatizing at least one major port. The government is trying to improve the efficiency of at least one major port by corporatizing it. 100 new airports. I think this is already done. Air fleet to grow 600 to 1200. I mean, currently we have about 600 airplanes. It is going to increase to 1200 airplanes. Expansion of national gas grid from 16,200 kilometers to 27,000 kilometers. The next theme is caring society. It starts with women, child and social welfare. The gross enrollment ratio of girls is now higher than that of boys. It stands at about 94.32% as against the 89.28% for boys. At secondary level, it is 81.32% as compared to 78% of boys, and at higher secondary education levels, the girls have achieved gross enrollment ratio of 59.7% as compared to 57.54% for boys. The government will provide 35,600 crore for nutrition related programs, like we have the Poshan Abhiyan. We will provide 28,600 crore for programs that are specific to women, for welfare of scheduled caste OBC, a budget provision of 85,000 crore, and for scheduled tribes 53,700 crore is provided. For senior citizens and Divyangjan, enhanced allocation of about 9,500 crore is allocated this time. For the culture and tourism, 5 archaeological sites will be developed as iconic sites with on-site museums. You can have a look at these 5 sites, and Maritime Museum at Lothal will be developed by the Ministry of Shipping. In Kolkata also, in the historic Old Mint building, a museum will be established, And India has moved up from rank of 65 in 2014 to 34 in 2019 in Travel and Tourism Competitive Index that is released by World Economic Forum. Now this year, budget interestingly also talked about environment and climate change. Although we do not have big measures for it, but Prime Minister launched Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which is the second initiative after International Solar Alliance that is based in India. Total budget for environment this year is 4,400 crore. This investment was a major surprise this year's budget because this year we have 2,10,000 crore in this investment target, which is huge. Okay, we have this is LIC, the major one. The IPO of LIC was announced this year, and which will fetch a big amount. We have the auction of Air India lined up and the disinvestment of Bharat Petroleum. This all will help us to achieve the target of 210,000 crore worth of disinvestment this year. Here we have the revised estimates of previous year, that is 2019-2020, and the budgeted estimates of this financial year, that is 2020-2021. This expenditure figure is important, and you can have a look at the revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. You should have an idea about it, but this figure is important. Okay, another major announcement was the DICGC cover, which is the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, a wholly owned subsidiary of RBI. The cover that it provides on the bank deposits has been increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakh per depositor. The budget this year also talks about the taxpayers charter, where the rights of the taxpayers will be enshrined. We have the FPI limit in corporate bonds increased from currently 9% to 15%. This is an important thing. Nirmala Sitharaman said that nominal growth rate of GDP for this year will be 10%. Now you can see 10%. Now you have to notice that this is nominal growth and not real growth. And there's a difference between real growth and nominal growth. Nominal growth also has inflation added to it. So let's say we have an inflation of 4% and a growth rate of 6%. It will be total 10%. So it's not that great, but saying 6% growth will disappoint many people. So she said we will have a nominal growth rate of 10%. And the eligibility of NBFCs to gain the benefit of SURFACE Act is also decreased from 500 crore to asset size of 100 crore and loan size of 1 crore to 50 lakhs. So they can also use the SURFACE Act to directly gain the possession of the properties pledged. Another scheme of 1,000 crore will be anchored by Exim Bank together with SEBI, and both these institutions will contribute 50 crore each, and 900 crore will be through funding from banks, and this fund will be used to provide funding to important sectors which will provide employment and growth for the country. Now talking about the deficits, we have 3.8% revised deficit for the previous year and 3.5% projected deficit for the coming year. Primary deficit is also important, which is going to be 0.4% for this year. We have this FRBM Act under which government has to maintain a low fiscal deficit, but government has used the section 4 of it and has got the flexibility expand it by 0.5%. That is why we have this 3.8% here and 3.5% here. The net market borrowings is going to be 5.36 lakh crore, which is fair compared to our GDP size, not very huge. So here comes the most awaited part. So the government this year introduced a new tax scheme where if you opt for the new tax, you will be taxed in lower brackets, but with a catch that you won't be able to get any deductions in the new tax regime. For this, government has mentioned that it will forego of 40,000 crore per year for with this new personal tax income scheme, but it has created a lot of confusion among individuals to file under which scheme, so that they have to pay least possible tax. And this time there was another announcement where companies will no longer have to pay dividend distribution tax. We had this system where companies, before giving dividend to the shareholders, had to pay a specific percentage as dividend distribution tax. Now it was leading to double taxation. The company had paid all its taxes, and the profit after tax was to be distributed, and again after on this profit they had to pay this dividend distribution tax. Now this tax will not be paid at the company level, but the shareholders in turn will file it under their own income. So this dividend distribution tax is gone now. In order to get investments from sovereign wealth funds, we have given them 100% tax exemption on interest, dividend, and capital gains in income with respect to the investment made in infrastructure and other notified sector where we need investment the most. So with the minimum lock-in period of 3 years, they will be given 100% tax exemption, which makes investing in India attractive for these sovereign wealth funds. And so we are expecting a good amount of investment from them. Next is that eligible startups having turnover of up to 25 crore were earlier allowed a deduction of 100% of their profits for 3 consecutive years during this 7 year period. And in order to extend this benefit, the 25 crore threshold has been increased to 100 crore, and the time period has been extended from 7 years to 10 years. Cooperatives, which are currently taxed at 30% with surcharge and cess, are going to be brought in parity with corporates, where with the recent corporate tax cut, they are also going to get the similar tax rate, which is 22% plus 10% surcharge and 4% cess, which is going to help these cooperatives reduce the burden of their taxes. And in order to reduce the compliance burden on small retailers, traders, shopkeepers, the government has proposed to increase the threshold from 1 crore to 5 crore for audit of these MSMEs. So this will reduce the compliance burden, but this is all only applicable to the businesses which accept less than 5% of the business transactions in cash. So government is trying to incentivize these small businesses to move towards cashless modes of payments. In this budget speech, we also had this Vivad se Vishwas scheme where the people having disputes related to direct tax will be able to pay their dues without the interest and penalty if they pay it by 31st March 2020. Now, this will not only reduce the legal action burden on the government but also increase their revenue in short term, which they immediately require. Now moving towards the end of the video, these are the schemes that were mentioned in the budget speech, and hence these schemes become very important. Make sure you have a basic idea about these schemes, and if you are preparing for UPSC or the SEBI or RBI examination, make sure you know about these schemes in details because budget schemes are often asked in the examinations. So all the best for your examinations. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching this video.